I ain't taking notes from nobody.
Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk Weekly.
Man, oh man. A win the Celtics needed. I don't want to hear Giannis didn't play, Middleton didn't play. Obviously, that had a big factor. But the Celtics, what they showed, especially in that overtime, Rob, tremendous, spectacular, unbelievable. I mean, we're going to get to everything. But I want you guys at home to look at those stats down there. 53-39, the Boston Celtics out-rebounded the Milwaukee Bucks tonight. I got my boy Dennis Schroeder in the background for tonight. 38 points. Took an overtime. I mean, 8 of his 38 came in the overtime, first and foremost. The Boston Celtics needed this win tonight, and they went out and they got it on national TV. Look, I understand no Giannis, no Middleton. I understand that. The Milwaukee Bucks showed up tonight. But what people need to understand, the Milwaukee Bucks, don't discredit them. Don't come out here and say, no Giannis, no Middleton. Yes, we know that's a big factor. But those guys have a pretty tough team out there in Milwaukee. They're respectively the defending champions.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a big game. And obviously, we would have liked to see the Celtics team win in a blowout fashion. No Giannis, no Middleton, no Lopez, no Connaughton. Those are 3 big pieces for the Bucks. So definitely would have liked to see a blowout fashion win. But at the same time, what does Seamus always say? It's building blocks. And this was a game that the Celtics haven't really won this type of game all season. Overtime matchup, head to head. It's a shootout. And guess what? The Celtics came to play. So, in much credit to all credit to Dennis Schroeder. I mean, 38 points, and really what it was, a tough it out. We're gonna outplay you to the final buzzer, and a much needed win for the Boston Celtics. I mean, what a great win!
Phenomenal.
They played just about as well as you can play and have the other team force overtime, because I thought the Celtics, outside of the turnovers especially, I thought they were clicking on a lot of cylinders tonight on both ends of the floor. Even defensively, I thought they were contesting shots well enough to, call it a success. Milwaukee was just hitting tough shot after tough shot. And obviously they have veterans and tough shooters on that team who, have been in those spots before where they need to make timely shots. And that's exactly what Milwaukee did tonight. But, the Celtics, I wouldn't, I guaranteed a blowout win. It wasn't a blowout win. What did we win by 9 in overtime? So
a win's a win.
Win's a win.
But I really felt like the Milwaukee Bucks played really well tonight, and so did the Celtics. And this is definitely a game, even without Giannis, without Middleton, without Lopez and DiVincenzo, that the Celtics can walk away from and look at and go, we feel pretty good about ourselves after that one.
Sure. I want to read out a stat. You're all about the stats, Mr. Seamus. 53-39 was the rebounding advantage tonight for the Boston Celtics. What are your thoughts on that? Because, we've kind of talked about, especially against the Toronto Raptors, when the Celtics got just atrociously out-rebounded. How do you feel about a 53-39 rebounding advantage?
I mean, that probably should have been expected tonight. That's probably why we didn't bring it up in the keys of the game. Like in other nights, obviously against Toronto, a very tough rebounding team. Teams like that, we're going to want to crash the board so we're not, giving up extra opportunities to them down low and just having them create down low from there. Tonight, Milwaukee, I mean, outside of Bobby Portis, they didn't really have a rebounder on the floor, a significant rebounder on the floor for most of the night. You could probably throw in Giannis's brother in there, but we all know he's sort of an into the bench player. So that was great for the Celtics tonight. I expected them to win the rebounding battle tonight, considering the personnel, and they did it in handily fashion, and that's really all you can ask for a team that's, still building up. They're now back to 500.
And honestly, Ian, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say how impressed I was about this team tonight. Like, Dennis Schroeder, I mean, we've been saying this all year that he's been a big pickup, and he just showed why. 38 points. Insane game by him. He carried us for basically this entire game. And What a game. What a game.
It felt good to see Marcus Smart step up in that second half as well, by the way. That goes without mentioning. Ian, I wanted to mention because the Celtics, with a minute left, were up 6. I believe it to be exact, about a minute 12, minute 15. Celtics were up 6, 106 to 100. Then a 6-0 run by the Milwaukee Bucks tied it up. Celtics going to overtime, 14-5. And we continue to talk about Dennis Schroeder because of those 14 overtime points, he had 8 of them. Talk to us about that overtime, Ian, because that was spectacular. I mean, even Marcus Smart, Josh Richardson, we saw him get active on the defensive end. It was just held the Bucks to only, I believe it was 5. Was it 5 overtime points?
Yeah, it was 5.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was insane. First, to touch upon the 6-0 run by the Bucks. I honestly saw it coming. I'm not even going to lie to you. I 100% saw this game going into overtime. There was no way this game was not going into overtime.
Yeah,
I mean, shout out to Grayson Allen. Allen. He's had a good year this year, but like that overtime by Dennis Schroeder, the MVP chance that he got at the free throw line, like, I mean, what else do you say about that? He was just incredible in overtime. And I mean, what more can you say outside of, I mean, him, obviously, he's not going to win MVP, but he was the MVP of this game. And I mean, that was probably the best game that he's played as a Celtic this season so far. Granted, he still had turnover issue, but it doesn't even matter when you drop 38.
I mean, he
lead us
contributed
to a win.
Kind of everywhere. He had 8 rebounds, by the way. He was the third rebound leader, obviously behind Tatum, who had 11, and Williams with 10. He also had 3 assists and a steal, so he was doing a little bit of everything. Obviously, the size came to matter a little bit when we had him on Jrue Holiday, but I thought particularly his defense tonight was pretty well, especially, he is a good defensive guard, but again, we've said before, his height sometimes makes a huge difference within the opponent. I want to also talk to you guys about Jason Tatum because, yes, I think down the stretch he struggled a little bit. Shot 10 of 25, 5 of 13 from deep, but 27 points, 11 rebounds. What do we think of Jason Tatum tonight?
I thought Tatum was all right. I would have liked to see him kind of down the stretch lead the Celtics. But when you got a guy like Dennis Schroeder stepping up and giving you almost 40, you don't really need Tatum to do that.
Totally.
And I think that's what's really special about the Celtics team this year is that, you got more options. You don't need Jason Tatum to get you 50 to really put you in a position to win. And, I would have liked to see Tatum kind of take control of the game, kind of to get a grasp. He was the best player out there by a lot, mind you. No Giannis, no Middleton. Holiday's a solid player. I would have liked to see Tatum kind of hold down a little bit, but I don't think he played a bad game. He only had 1 assist, but 27 and 11, when you got a guy like Schroeder giving you 38, that's really all you need out of Tatum.
I think Tatum was very active on the defensive end tonight as well. He had a couple blocks tonight. One of them huge overtime. Oh, was it an overtime block, or maybe it was an end? It was late in the game. It was him and maybe it was at the end of the third. It was him and Richardson nearly caught the same ball, but still, nonetheless, terrific. I think the effort from Jason Tatum's defense ever since we kind of called him out, maybe it's the Celtics Talk Weekly that did this, but ever since kind of we called him out on his effort, I thought, and I'm not just saying this because Celtics are now winners of 4 of their last 5 games. I thought I'd never say that. I don't care how early it is in the season. But, I think Tatum's effort has changed on both ends, and I think it really showed tonight as well.
Yeah,
I do want to say one thing about Tatum. Sorry, Seamus.
No, go ahead.
I had to say this. That shot he took in the fourth quarter was absolutely atrocious. I'm sorry. He had a great game.
To end the
fourth quarter.
Oh, I said that in the group chat. I was like, this is not.
Yeah, that was absolutely atrocious. You can go, Seamus. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, well, I'm going to circle back around on Dennis Schroeder, but I want to say something on Tatum real quick, too. Tatum looks way more engaged in these games than he did at the beginning of the year. I don't know what it was at the beginning of the year, why he was disengaging from games. I know, obviously, the lack of foul calls, that probably affected his game. Now it seems like he's getting used to it more. He's not complaining to the officials as much. But with that being said, Dennis Schroeder, the player of the night here, because Dennis Schroeder, Ian, you mentioned that he played his best game as a Celtic. He probably played the best game of his NBA career tonight. Dennis Schroeder, 38 points. What was he? 16 of 27 from the field. That's ridiculously efficient.
59%.
He was getting
Insane.
it going from everywhere tonight. The pull-up mid-range was going. The floater was going for him. He stepped into a couple of threes with confidence. And the number one thing about his game, he kept taking it to the rim on the Bucks. He kept engaging their defense at the rim. And he got a lot of free throw opportunities from that as well. Only get 3 opportunities. But late in the game, 2 of those came in overtime. So those are big free throws in overtime. Dennis Schroeder, absolutely amazing tonight. This is a player the Celtics simply did not have last year. I know you could say Kemba, but quite honestly, Kemba was not like Schroeder. Schroeder is consistent every night, and then he can give you this type of performance, once in a blue moon. Hopefully. So Kemba, he was just falling off a cliff last year, and Dennis Schroeder, breath of fresh air.
Something I want to say about Schroeder is that, Kemba obviously didn't end his career in Boston the way we would have wished. Last season, obviously, was out in and out of the lineup, super inconsistent, right? His 2019-20 season, he did some good things for us, don't get me wrong. However, something I've noticed with Schroeder this year is that so far he's been a guy that's going to step up when Brown's out of the lineup, when Tatum's out of the lineup. And that's something you really want out of a guy like Dennis Schroeder, right? Where, he's kind of he's not really the go-to third guy in a sense where it's kind of either Smart or Horford, but he can be, right? Where, like I said, 38 points, you don't casually walk into a gym and score 38. So much props to Dennis Schroeder. I mean, he really came in, and this isn't the first time we've seen it this season. I mean, he's given us games where he's had 20 plus, and he came in and he really put the Celtics on his back almost, where he gave them everything they were looking for on the offense side of the ball when, down the stretch when the Celtics needed it most.
And we got him for $5 million.
We're paying him $5.6 million. We're paying Kemba Walker $30 million a year.
I also want to go out and mention, you don't see many 40-point games resulting in under 30 field goal attempts, by the way. He had 27 tonight. And wicked efficient. I mean, 59% on nearly 40 points, especially in overtime. 8 of his 38 in overtime. That's tremendous to me. And we talk about how undersized he is. And like I said, he was the 3rd leading rebounder tonight for the Celtics, 8 rebounds. And I think, kind of like Rob, we've talked about this actually a lot when we were talking about the free agency special, we were talking about the podcast and all that. Something Schroeder gives you is defense, right? Yes, he is undersized, but when Kemba Walker wasn't having a great offensive night, was he really providing you that much? No. With Dennis Schroeder tonight, he was giving us both, more offensively, obviously, but there's some nights where Schroeder can afford to have a bad offensive night because he makes up for it down the other end defensively, kind of like a Josh Richardson. Josh Richardson, very spotty shooter, can really get going. But if he's not getting going, he can play defense. Evan Fournier, if he was shooting 1 of 10, was he giving you anything? He was giving you nothing down the other end of the floor if he wasn't scoring you 15 a game. And I think that is what Brad Stevens just absolutely hit the nail in the coffin for this season. And I tonight it went out and showed Dennis Schroeder 38 points.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of things that really give Dennis Schroeder his value. And obviously one of them is his contract, right? $5.6 million for Dennis Schroeder is insane. It's a great deal. I mean, we really did. We went in and we got him for a great price. But I think the other thing that's so great about Dennis is that it's not necessarily he's an amazing defender, right? On ball, he's an undersized guard, but it's his effort. It's his fact that he wants to go out there, he wants to guard the best player, and he wants to guard him, all 90 feet of the basketball court or however long it is, right? So I think that's the great thing about Schroeder. He has a motor to him that's nonstop, that's constantly going, and I think that really showed tonight on both sides of the ball.
He reminds me of Rondo a lot. I know this is obviously a comparison he's gotten since his rookie year, but he really reminds me of Rondo, even his kind of shooting form at times as well. But just his explosiveness. I'm surprised we haven't talked about this quite yet. His explosiveness is just unbelievable. I mean, obviously, on the mismatch Bobby Portis, you kind of figure you better hope a point guard can pass the center, but his explosiveness, especially on the fast break, is just unbelievable. It's like you blink, it's like you're watching hockey and the puck's going around the rink and you blink and you miss something, and I feel like that's what we see with Dennis Schroeder.
The way he got into the paint tonight, just the different ways he got into the paint was absolutely insane. He was beating them with that right hand every single time. Every single floater he was taking made it in. And even in overtime, you heard the broadcast if you were watching on ESPN, you heard him talking about how, why is he going to his right hand the entire time? He goes to his left hand and it works just as well. So, I mean, Dennis Schroeder, I don't think we can say enough about how good he was tonight and how basically important he was to this win.
There was a moment during the game where it seemed like the Bucks could not stop this man. It got to that level back in 2020, which hopefully people still remember. Back in 2020, February of 2020, when Tatum had his breakout month. Night after night, it really felt like Tatum was going to score on pretty much every possession that he touched the ball in. That's what it felt like for Dennis Schroeder down the stretch, especially in overtime. You said, 8 points in overtime after he enters the overtime period with 30? I mean, that's just ridiculous. And I don't know how many he had in the fourth, but I want to say he had at least 8 in the fourth.
Yeah.
At least. So, I mean, that's just – it's a wild performance. It's wild that we're paying this man only $5.6 million. People clown on him for maybe or maybe not turning down the $84 million extension from the Lakers. Well, we don't know if that was actually offered or not. However, this man is a $20 million a year player. Marcus Smart's being paid $17 million. Dennis Schroeder, he can be paid $20 million a year. We're getting this guy for $5 million right now, and I wouldn't be surprised. I think I said this a long time ago, but Dennis Schroeder, I would not be surprised if this season does go well in the end and say we make it, say to the conference finals or the finals or something happens crazy our season and we have wild success. I wouldn't be surprised if we throw the bag at Schroeder this summer.
Yeah,
well,
totally.
Well, I just want to say something real quick, and I think this game benefits Tatum in a way we don't really notice. Where like I said, this last season it was the Jason Tatum show, and I think coming into this year, teams are preparing for that. Right, they're really strapping down on Jason Tatum, where he's really all the attention goes to on offense. We've seen that in games where against Dallas, where they wall him up, they double team him. I think a game like this, where Schroeder's kind of firing on all cylinders, teams got to start thinking, we can't only focus on Tatum because Schroeder can get us points, Brown can get them points, Smart's going to give us points. And I think that's something we lacked last season, that it's starting to look more and more like we have this year, where we have depth. We have a guy that can go out when we need him to go get us 20, go get us 25. And I think that part is huge for the Boston Celtics down the stretch.
I want to say something about Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart's third quarter was the best I've seen him play all season. At one point, he scored 12 straight points for the Celtics. He could not miss in the third quarter. I swear, this has probably been Marcus Smart's best game he's played all season, at least offensively.
Marcus Smart, 7 of 13, 2 of 5 from 3 tonight, 19 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds.
But now
these over-unders are juicy tonight.
I do want to get to those. It's funny you mentioned that because Rob, you might have to take over this one or just read them to me, and I have them down. I have the results down, but
I got it.
They were tight. They were tight tonight.
So we had obviously ESPN game, big game. We do a bonus round, so we had 4 over-unders tonight. There were fun ones. They're kind of new ones. I tried to do something we don't normally do. So first one right off the bat, obviously Schroeder last game he played against at home against the who did we play? The Raptors. Yeah. He had 8 turnovers. So tonight we did Dennis Schroeder over under 3 turnovers. He did fix his turnover problems in terms of was it 8. However, it still struggled where he had 6. So I had the under. I missed that. Everyone else hit. They all had the over. Ian got that. Justin got that. Seamus got that. So props to you guys. However, the next one was kind of a different one. It was a 3-leg, I guess you could say. It was a Robert Williams. Yeah, a little 3-leg parlay. It was a Robert Williams, 8 points, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks. That one did hit.
Dude, Dude,
No, it didn't. He had
no,
three
it
blocks.
didn't
He didn't
because
go
three
over.
blocks. It has to go over 3 hits.
Oh,
It has to go over. No way that hit. That did not hit. He got
that
three
didn't
blocks.
hit.
We have
It has to. It
controversy.
has to go over 3. It has to go over 8, and over 3. It's always been like that. Trust me.
Whoa.
But
Wow.
I did. But like all 4 of us got it pretty damn close.
Yeah, so
We have to
Shaman-
establish this next time because I think if you were to bet normally, it'd be
yes, you
like
have to go 2.5
plus.
because it would be 2.5 then, not
It'd
3.
be like 3
Yeah,
plus.
but we said
so it'd be
yeah.
3 or plus. So
Okay, so
that
all
might
right,
be a
so
push.
I guess that goes under technically. I mean, really, that
Well,
should
that might
cancel
be a
out.
push.
No
That might
one
be
gets a
push.
point there then.
So
No
do
one gets a
or
point.
we just all get points because
No one gets a point. No one gets a point.
I guess
'Cause
it's
it
a
didn't-
push because he did get 3
Great.
blocks.
Yeah,
so
no one went
technically-
under.
Dude,
no
Dude,
one went
there
under,
was
no one
one.
went
There
over.
was one where it looked like he got
To
the
us.
4th block. It looked like he tipped Drew Holiday's shot.
All right, so
but
no
they
one,
didn't call it.
gets a point there because it didn't go over, it didn't go under. So no one gets a point.
Well, we would have had it a clear under if Tatum hit the game winner and
Yeah,
we walked off.
because
in
he had,
sunset.
he got 2 blocks in overtime. He finished with 12 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks.
Don't get Ian going with that game winner by Tatum.
Don't even get me
next-
started on that
The
shit.
next
Are
one
we ever going to
was
see a game winner out of Tatum ever?
probably not. The next one
Not
was
this season.
Speak of Jason Tatum. It was Jason Tatum plus minus 10. He did hit it 11, so we all got a point there.
Oh yeah!
He had plus
Wow,
11.
that was good because
We were close on that. If that overtime didn't happen, he wasn't getting it because he was like a +4. He was like
I
a +4
forgot
at the
about
fourth quarter. So
Yeah, so that was big there from Tatum. And then the last one, the bonus one, like I said, primetime game, a little ESPN action. You get a bonus one. The bonus one was Marcus Smart, 5 assists. Everyone took the over,
Dude!
and he hit it, 6 assists.
Yes!
oh my
Yeah.
god,
Dude, it was so late. He had a
That's it.
sweet assist to Al Horford, which we haven't even
that
talked
play
about,
was
which so
insane.
sweet. I'm hyped. All right. All of
Wow,
us went
Marcus
3
Smart.
for 4, and Rob, you went 2 for 4.
stepped up.
I should have got the Rob Will one. I should have got that.
Wait,
That's
did I
Yeah,
go-
but if you
Well, then
should have,
say-
I should have.
Yeah, I
Say
know.
2.5 next time. Don't say 3.
Wait, did I
2.3.
did I go 3 of? Okay, 3 of the eligible.
Me, you, and
3
Ian got 3, and Rob got 2. We all 4
Rebound
of us
season.
did pretty good tonight.
rebounds. season.
So I just want to make a public service announcement for anyone on this podcast or not podcast or post game show calling me a bad bettor, right? I just want to say something.
Oh, you're an awful
little
better.
P-
He's
little
a terrible-
PSA.
He's a tragic
Tonight-
Bronson.
Tonight I had a 3-leg parlay. I had the Hornets money line, I had the Blazers money line, and I had the Thunder money line, and it hit.
Whoa,
Dude,
So-
the Thunder won on a game winner.
Yeah,
I don't wanna-
exactly. So it hit.
Whoa.
So we're
Dude,
putting,
Tom
Brady
those
walked by.
raw bad bets to a sleep because I'm
Rob, all right,
I'm winning
Rob. A
big
broken
time.
clock is right twice a day. Okay.
I'm winning
Also,
big tonight.
I
I'm
will
winning
say
big
you get to
tonight.
eat this week because you won your parlay.
I'm eating good this week.
I know
That
he's
is
going from ramen
unbelievable.
to that I don't know, that cafeteria food.
I won.
I don't know what you got at college.
Just in case you were wondering, I won $135 tonight. So
But
that's
how
good.
much have you lost total? The
We
mom.
You don't gotta worry about that. You don't gotta worry about that.
We don't have to talk about that.
You
We
don't
only
gotta
talk
worry about
about Rob's success on
You don't
here.
gotta worry about that.
But before we kind of close out, I do want to touch it. We saw Chevy Ojale tonight. We see Taco Fall tomorrow. Celtics and Cavs. Cavs are on a roll here. They're 8-4, 8-5. I believe they just closed it out against the Detroit Pistons pretty handily. They're 8-5, so that's really impressive for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Do they keep going? I don't know, but this is a lot tougher matchup. Celtics second night of a back-to-back. Jaylen Brown will make the trip. He is questionable for these games. They really don't know if he's coming back or not, but nonetheless, he will be there. What are we looking for? Jared Allen, Robert Williams. That'll be a pretty fun matchup. Celtics again. They played the Cavs twice this week.
So Celtics, something I'm looking for out of Boston. Right? We're on a 3-game little road trip. Cleveland twice, then Atlanta. Then we come back home for a 4-game homestand. I would guess that Brown makes his return that second game against Cleveland. Obviously, we're on a back-to-back. We got Cleveland tomorrow night. I bet Brown plays Monday night if I had to guess. If he's making the trip, he's definitely going to play either Atlanta or Cleveland. I don't know which one he will play. But something I'm looking for out of the Celtics team is just keep grinding it out, right? You see this team down the stretch, and we're really taking it possession by possession. We're doing what we need to do on offense, and we're getting the stops that we need to get on defense. And that's something that we've really been looking for a long time. for the Celtics team, just keep grinding it out. Just keep pushing forward. Look, we're back to 500. We got 3 very winnable games. We got we got the Thunder, Rockets, and Lakers at home. I'm feeling pretty good as a Celtics fan.
Well, I said this to you guys earlier. The next 7 games, I expect 5-2. I mean, we have. I don't know what the 2 losses will be. I just expect out of the next 7 games, we win at least 5 of them. We have 2 games against the Cavs, 1 against the Lakers, 1 against the Hawks, and then 2 against the Thunder and Rockets. We should win those Thunder and Rocket games, and then basically
that
take
Lakers game. We should win that Lakers game too. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, but even if you included that game into that little 5-game stretch we have, 3-2 is not a huge ask, and Celtics, if they go 5-2, what are they? They're 11-8.
Yeah. Well, I have a question.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
So right now in these past 5 games, the Celtics are 4-1. So is it time to start pushing the standards a little bit higher for Boston, where we're not asking for 3-2, we're asking for 4-1?
Not yet.
Not yet. Not just yet. I see where you're coming with that question. Not just yet.
Because we could be on a 5-game winning streak right now if Luka Doncic doesn't decide to, you gotta take it with a. You gotta realize that.
But he did,
Boston's been solid past 5 games.
Poor Ian, dreadful on that shot. Man. I mean, I know what you're saying, and I agree. But you could say the same thing. Like Celtics should be on a 6-game win streak if you take that Luka Doncic game winner. If the Celtics, like I hate to keep dwelling on this here because I mean this game could have very much been the turning point this season thus far. Chicago game, Celtics played 36 minutes of fantastic basketball. Chicago Bulls played 12 minutes, if that, and they ended up winning by double digits. So I see where you're going with that question, Rob. But like you said, like Seamus, maybe building blocks, a few more building blocks. Let's see how this 2-game series goes with the Cavaliers because they might not have on paper one of the best teams in the league, but right now they're playing like it. So we'll see that test because
yes, sir.
Hey, who knows? I hope we see taco time. It's going to be a blowout one way or another. So let's get some taco time. No Kevin Love, who's been coming off the bench this season, and he hasn't been playing terribly off the bench, but no Kevin Love tomorrow or the game after that. So we'll see how the Celtics match up against these guys.
Just to give a Chicago Bulls update, they're beating the Warriors 29-23 after 1.
Ooh, once we're out of here, I'm going to watch that. That's a matchup.
That's going to be a good game. Although you got to listen to Jeff Van Gundy, though. Not the worst.
Ooh, rough.
Really?
That's a really. You guys don't like Jeff Van Gundy? I think he's
I hate Jeff Gundy with a burning passion. He's the worst commentator ever.
Mark Jackson.
I don't like Mark Jackson either, but I hate Jeff Van Gundy so much.
I think that's one of the best broadcasting teams, and I've seen other than obviously Mike Tomlin.
Mike Breen carries that whole thing.
Mark Jackson.
He carries that whole thing. That's why it's a good broadcasting team.
My thing with Mark Jackson is he makes the most obvious points ever. It's like he says something and you're like, yeah, no shit, Mark Jackson. Like, I could have said that.
Jeff Van Gundy is the worst, though, because all he does is, complain about everything. He's like, oh, my God, back in my day, the game used to be so much better. The game used to be so much faster. These people aren't hunting for fouls anymore. Oh, my God.
I think we can all agree.
Who's the ideal pairing if you could take
Mike Breen and the TNT guy.
Anyone, any color, and then
maybe Chris Webber or
I'd say
I'd say Tommy. Wait, are we saying all time or now?
No,
if we're going all time, it's got to be Tommy and
I'd say Tommy
probably
and Tommy and Johnny Most.
Don't get me wrong. I love Tommy Heinsohn, right? But that's a very Celtics answer. I love Tommy.
No, it is.
Well, of course.
But
I mean, Johnny Most is one of the most storied broadcasters in history, not just Celtics. So I definitely take Johnny Most on my side. Of course. I'll be a Lakers fan and say that.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely, I ain't taking that. Who's that Atlanta announcer who got really ticked off?
Oh, yeah, he got so salty at Steph.
And then that Sixers announcer who said, I don't care if Giddey gets hurt. It's Joel I'm worried about. There's some prickish,
Who's the TNT guy that just retired?
Marv
Oh,
Albert.
Kevin
Marv
Miller.
Albert.
Oh no,
Marv Albert.
My dream squad is Mike Breen and Marv Albert. Those two are great.
I like Marv Albert.
Does anyone think Marv Albert and Kevin Harlan sound alike sometimes?
Yeah, oh,
Or
totally.
am I
They're
the only
basically
one?
the same person, I swear.
Oh, yeah,
I
totally.
get him confused all the time. I forget Marv Albert retired sometimes when I listen to Kevin Harlan.
Totally.
Also, listening to Kevin Harlan in 2K for so many years, it's like
Well, that and he's
Yeah.
an NFL broadcaster as well, so that kind of makes me pick out the difference as well.
Totally.
and Ian
Mark
Eagle.
Jones.
Ian Eagle, he's low-key underrated as a
Mark
broadcaster. I
Jones
like
is
Ian Eagle.
underrated too. Mark Jones.
Mark
Jones is good.
Back.
Mark Jones is good.
Yeah, some good
Like-
ones.
Ian
Eagle does three sports, though.
His bag. It's like trying to reach for fries at the bottom of the bag.
Oh my gosh! What
Who are
about
the guys,
who
who
are
are the
they?
guys on tonight? They were not good. I don't
Hubie
care
Brown?
on ESPN.
Hubie Brown's a very historic player. He coached the Milwaukee Bucks, I believe, or he was their manager.
Yeah,
Something
he was
like
on that 74 team, but like,
Yes,
I mean, Hubie Brown
like-
was kind of funny at the end of the game. He was hilarious. I couldn't
I-
listen to that other guy.
I listen to tonight when I don't see ESPN. No offense, I like to hear Mike Breen on the call, but I stuck with Mike and Scal tonight, and Abby, of course, Abby.
NBC Sports Boston. I hardly watch. I watch ESPN come playoff time. I think they're great in the playoffs, but totally regular season matchup. I'm listening to Mike and Scal. I'm a Celtics fan.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm gonna.
They had some
Well, see,
sweet
I
calls
watched it.
tonight, by the way. Mike and Scal
I watched
have
it on
been fire.
ESPN, sadly. So
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a
Well,
good
Mike
time.
and Scal have been on fire. They've been kind of funny. It was a little shaky last year, in my opinion. Maybe it was just because COVID
No,
threw
yeah,
it all
well, it's
off.
because
But,
they couldn't actually be there to watch the games. They had to watch it
Yeah,
on a
they-
screen. You can't watch basketball on a screen like that.
Yeah, but
That
Yeah.
was tough for all of them last year. That's crazy. I mean, part
They had
of
to do it. Yeah.
part of being there at the game, you see the body language. You see so many things that you don't even see on TV.
Crowd noise.
I mean, it was
Exactly.
even weird in the bubble. You know, you hear Mike Breen bang call, and what do you expect? The place to erupt or
Yeah,
either
bang,
scream?
bang.
It
But
sounded-
you know, in the bubble, he'd say
Oh, like an
bang,
engine.
and you'd see all the camera and all the
The Zoom
all
call,
the,
the
All
Zoom
the,
call.
all the
all
Zoom
the
call
lights.
cams, like they're like glitching in the background.
Yeah.
But Celtics and Cavaliers tomorrow night will have you guys covered 7:30 p.m. for pregame show tip-off at 8 o'clock. Then come right back here for Celtics postgame live. I'm Justin. That's Rob. That's Ian. And that's Seamus. See how that is done, Rob? That's how you do it. Not an inverted camera.
Whatever.
We'll see you guys tomorrow night, Celtics Cavs.
See you guys.
Yep.
I ain't taking notes from nobody.
Your superstars have off games.
Follow us on social media at Celtics Talk. We